How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Data here, and welcome back to the finale of our Pittsburgh Penguins franchise mode, episode number 22, wrapping up our content on NHL 23 just before we head into NHL 24. I know that NHL 24 has technically already come out, but I'm not a big pre-order guy, as I prefer to wait and let the glitches get sorted out, but we will be simulating from the end of what we've done so far with the Penguins through 6 years, going from year number 7 to the end of year number 15. I had originally wanted to go to year number 20 or even year number 25, but honestly speaking, after doing only 6 years with the Pens as general manager, to transition into the president of hockey operations role for another 14 years would leave us with a lot of players that we aren't really attached to. So although we will have to pull ourselves away from some of the storylines we would love to finish, the clock is ticking on NHL 23. Each season can take up to an hour to simulate. Time is tight. I would prefer to keep things concise. So, moving into year number 7, we'll get to continue to follow some of the storylines that we have built so far. Now, if you have not been along for the ride so far, no problem. Let me give you a quick recap. Here is our spreadsheet of the series so far. We were brought into Pittsburgh to fulfill a 2-part mandate. Part 1, get another cup for Crosby, Malkin, Letang, and company before retirement. That part, check, completed in year number 3. Part number 2 of our mandate, set this team up for a strong and bright future and not just go all in, have everyone retire, and then be stuck in a big 10-year rebuild. And I think we've succeeded in that as well. Although we haven't won another cup since, we have been to 3 Stanley Cups through 6 years. Through our 6 seasons with the Penguins, we've made the postseason every single year. We've won 5 consecutive Metropolitan Divisions, 4 Eastern Conferences, 3 President's Trophies. We set the new NHL record for the best single-season penalty kill at 90%, and as I already mentioned, 3 Stanley Cup final appearances and 1 Stanley Cup victory over the last 6 years. We also have a lot of hardware along the way, as you can see with Leon Draisaitl on the team, some Vezinas there as well from our goaltenders. We'll recap all of that at the end of the episode, so feel free to use the timestamps. I'll try to go through it a bit more quickly than I usually do. It is a long video. There's a lot to get done, but I do want it to just kind of be a highlight of how things go. I'll be doing a lot of things behind the scenes, but I just want you to get the recap of each season. But let's start by recapping our last episode, the live stream episode. It was a crazy stream. In round number 1, we took down the Flyers in 6. In round number 2, we took down the Hurricanes in 6 after losing game 1 on both those occasions, both those series, I believe. And then in round number 3, the Eastern Conference Finals, game 1 against the Maple Leafs, we lose 10-1. We go down 3-0 in the series, but then we march back 1 game, 1 period at a time. Thankfully, it was the Leafs, and we came back in game 7 to win 4-3. Finally, we went on to the Stanley Cup final, and we lost, sadly, to the Vancouver Canucks. They also went up 3-0 in their series. We won game 4, but then we ultimately fell in 5 games to the Canucks. Unfortunately, goaltending was, I think, the major issue of the last few years for us. DeBrincat, Draisaitl, Joel Eriksson even, Brady Tkachuk, Wakabayashi, who I'll get into in a moment. He's one of the greatest stories of our franchise mode series here. Josh Morrissey, so many players came together, but the goaltending, although not horrible, around a 900 save percentage for Blomqvist, 3.11 goals against. Blomqvist started, he got blown out. Blackwood came in, he eventually got blown out. Blomqvist finished it off, and he didn't look that great. So we've been rolling with Blackwood and Blomqvist for a while now. They've won 2 Jennings. They've shared a Jennings over the last 2 of the last 3 seasons. They've won a Vezina each here in Pittsburgh, but it may be time to move on from them, as Blomqvist will be in the final year of his contract. Whoa! By the way, he was an 89 overall. He's down to an 84. 1 more year on his deal. So yeah, likely that we move on from Blomqvist. Blackwood, we signed him to a 2-year extension to be our 1B. But if we need that money elsewhere, I wouldn't mind moving on from him either. But here is the team as it stands. So if you just want to get a little bit more situated in our series, if you haven't been following it, Alex DeBrincat has been here for a little while now. Consistent 40-goal guy for us. I think he's been here for 5 years now. So yeah, he's been here for quite a while. He's a veteran here on the squad. Leon Draisaitl, we signed him in free agency, or I guess we traded for his rights and then signed him. He just had his 4th season here in Pittsburgh. Joel Eriksson, we got him in the Jake Gensel trade. Brady Tkachuk, got him in free agency. Jace Wakabayashi, Wakabayashi, one of my favorite stories of all time probably. He was drafted as a 48 overall in the third round of 2026. Within 2 years, he was in the 80s, and to start the 2028-29 season, just 2 years and a few months after being drafted, he was an 86 overall. In his rookie season, he scored 62 points. At 5'9", he has 5-star physical. He threw 96 hits, crazy takeaway to giveaway ratio. This man is going to be a huge storyline for the rest of our video. Josh Morrissey, he's been here for a while as well. He's now 34, but he's been consistently above 60 points every year through his 5 seasons with the Penguins so far. Well, I guess 4.5 seasons technically. He's been very good on our top pair. Berkeley Catton, we drafted him 9th overall in 2024. After his 3rd season, there was a big coming out season for him. Actually, in his 3rd, and now his 4th was even better. 40s, then 70, 88 points. So he is our first line playmaker with his 99 passing, absolutely. DeMaio, a great piece for us, who was drafted 9th overall in 2025, a power forward with 5-star shooting. Braden Yeager, he was drafted 20th in 2023. We drafted him before the real-life Penguins drafted him, and it took a little while for him to get to the NHL, but once he did, he really delivered. A pretty good rookie season at 41 points, but last year, 55. Hopefully he can become a top 6 piece for us. Sean Durzi, we picked him up in the Ty Smith trade, and he's an expiring deal. We might not be able to bring him back. Ryan Graves, we got him just like the real Penguins did, but he's only been here for the last couple seasons. 3 years now, as opposed to the real-life Penguins who have him today. We also have Aaron Ekblad, who we got in free agency. Isaac Lundstrom, we picked him up off of waivers, played him in the AHL for half a season, called him up in the last 3 years. He's been a 50-point guy. So Isaac Lundstrom has been another great story here in Pittsburgh. Zadarov's been a solid defenseman. Landon Fenton was also, just like Wakabayashi, same draft, but he was drafted in the 6th round, and he was a 50 overall. Within 2 years, he was an 80 overall, and now he's an 83 overall. 6'5" Norwegian defenseman, 12 goals, 22 points, plus 37 in his rookie year. Can't wait to see what else comes from him. Olli Mata, we brought him back to Pittsburgh. He was a solid piece. Nate Smith has been Mr. 4th line extraordinaire. We picked him up just kind of randomly as 4th line center, and it's been 5 years, and he's been like a 20, 30-point guy as a 4th line center playing 8 minutes a night. So Nate Smith has been incredible. A few other depth pieces for us there. And the goaltenders I already mentioned. Mackenzie Blackwood was a crazy pickup. I believe it was just via a trade with the Devils. Yes, it was. It was just a kind of like a let's throw him in there and see how he does type of thing. He went on to win a Vezina, a couple Jennings, and he has carried us to 2 Stanley Cup finals. He has been incredible. Although starting to regress a little, his regular season numbers have been solid enough. Postseason, though, the last couple of years, last few years, not so hot. And Blomqvist, of course, he was here when we took over, a 2nd-round pick in 2020. He's been kind of the starter / backup. The last couple of years, kind of more the starter. Great record, solid regular season numbers. But again, the postseason, yeah, it's not as great as you're sitting around our 900 save percentage and 3.2 goals against, losing record as well. So there's the recap on where we are as a franchise. We'll have some rookies in the system that we're looking forward to get here soon enough. We'll have the draft coming up. I'll have the re-sign phase. I won't bring you through the re-sign phase. I won't bring you through free agency. I'm going to do all of that on my own, making executive decisions now that I've transitioned from general manager to president of hockey ops. I will be doing all of that on my own and then recapping it for you at the beginning of every season. Filling in on our coaches as well. Our coach throughout the series has been Grossman, A+ coach. He has been very, very good. He has a great winning percentage as well, minus this first season where we tanked in 22-23 just to reflect the real-life 22-23 Penguins. He has always been well above a 500 record, so we've done very well with him behind the bench. He's getting older, so he may retire soon. And if that's the case, we do have Evgeny Malkin as our current AHL head coach, Sidney Crosby as the AHL associate coach, and Phil the Thrill Kessel as the AHL assistant coach. So as the years go on and these guys retire or their contracts expire, Malkin, Crosby, Kessel, they are the future of our NHL coaching staff, and I hope that we can get a cup with them behind the bench. So we have some good young pieces, but it is an aging core here in Pittsburgh. In our San Jose Sharks series, after I think it was 11 seasons we stopped, we just kept going. Our core was so young that it just carried us all the way to the end of the simulation. So it might be a different case here, though. In this long-term simulation, some things will be changing. Injuries will be turned off to help with the speed of the simulation, as well as maintaining my hands-off approach as president of Hockey Ops, not doing little line changes and stuff like that. But aside from that, I think the settings will pretty much stay the same. It'll just be, instead of making little changes and tweaks to the lineup throughout the year, the lineup will be set at the beginning, and then it will carry us to the end of the season, rain or shine. I won't be making little moves, little trades halfway through the year. Now it's just going to be, here's our team, we set it, we sim the season, and we'll see what we get. We'll look at the Excel sheet and all the list of awards and achievements at the end of this episode, headed into our next series. Be sure to watch to the end, as you'll get details on how to put in your vote for which team we take over for our first series in NHL 24. Leave a like if you haven't already, because it is a super long sim. It's a very long process, but I love to see where the storylines that we have built as a community will take us. Speaking of that community, if you haven't joined it already, subscribe here on the YouTube channel. Join us in the Discord server, link in the description. Closing in on 7,000 subscribers, and we're over 500 members in the Discord. It's a real blast enjoying the YouTube series as well as sharing our own series, but I will leave you there. I will now take care of the 2029 off season, headed into year number 7, 2029-30. Year number 7, ladies and gentlemen, our first season as president of hockey operations, and this is a solid lineup. First line stays the same, Catton, Draisaitl, and DeBrincat with the +5. Catton now at an 89 overall. Second line, Tkachuk, Eriksson, Ek, and Wakabayashi. We gave him the full package of X Factors in the offseason. I don't usually touch it too much, and I especially don't give this many X Factors in one offseason, but going to Pat's comment in the Discord server, even Pat saying, I don't often advocate for too many X Factor ads, but Wakabayashi is the truth and deserves a deluxe package. Couple playmaking, hitting, defensive ones, and born leader. So I went ahead and gave him the gold zone ability of quick pick with his crazy takeaway stats, but big rig, being 5'9", big rig, born leader, relentless, tape to tape, and yoink as his X Factors moving forward. Unfortunately, only a 0 on the line with all these X Factors, but better than negative chemistry. The third line will be Lundstrom, Jaeger, and DeMaio with a +2, and the fourth line will be Nord, Forsstrom, who we got from the Kings a couple of years ago, 8th overall pick. He'll make it to the NHL now. And Yanni Petrel, former second-round pick in 2024. He'll also get a chance here in the NHL, a little power play time as well. So there is the forward core. On defense, we're running it back with Morrissey and Ekblad with the +3. Fenton now up to an 84 overall. He'll get a +2 with Sean Durzi. Signed him to a 1-year extension at $8.5 million just to get someone for the second pair right D. There wasn't really anyone in free agency. And third pair, Ryan Graves with our old friend from the Sharks series, Artemi Kniazev. Welcome back to a data franchise, my friend. He was a third pair mainstay with Owen Pickering in our Sharks series. Funny that in this series, Pickering actually didn't stick with us, but now we go out and get Kniazev. They've both found their way from San Jose to Pittsburgh. Goaltending. In the offseason, we did indeed trade out Joel Blomqvist, and we brought in Spencer Knight from free agency. 2 years at $5 million. I thought it was pretty respectable, and although Blomqvist has been really good in the regular season, his overall going down, 1 year left on his contract, and a couple of bad postseasons in a row did him in. Spencer Knight coming off of a bad season, but usually one of the better goalies. Take these numbers with a grain of EA salt. This is kind of what you would expect from a starting goaltender. So hopefully Spencer Knight can be a good starter for us over the next couple of years. Blackwood backing him up at an 84. Very good 1A, 1B, because our AHL goalies will be here soon enough. So likely a 2-year timeline is the type of timeline that we're looking at. So here's our squad for year number 7. Many of the pieces from the last few seasons still intact, still hungry for a Stanley Cup. So let's see what the regular season has in store. In year number 7, the Penguins are back on top of the NHL as we finish first in the league with 115 points and a record of 55, 22, and 5. Crazy high goals for, very low goals against in this NHL. Very impressive ratio, I have to say. Power play of 22.3%, which was third best in the league. Somehow two teams in the 20s had better power plays. And our penalty kill was 85.6%, fourth best in the NHL. The offense in Pittsburgh was electric as Leon Draisaitl scored the most goals that he's ever scored as a Penguin with 57 and his second highest points season as a Penguin as well with 104 points. DeBrincat scored 97, Catton 84. Yager had a crazy third season scoring 67 points as third line center and second unit power play, only playing 15.05 per night, so I'm really hoping he can be the future of that top 6. Morrissey still at 67 points despite being 35. Wakabayashi scored 63, the Pac-Man. Now with increased ice time, his role is definitely different. I'm glad to see that same production he had in his rookie season is still being maintained. Brady Tkachuk, a bit of a disappointment for $10 million, I have to say. 58 points is solid, but I don't know if we're committed to him long term, if that's going to be the type of numbers he continues to put up. Joel Eriksson Ek, same type of thing, 52 points. Sean Durzi, career high 51. Ekblad, 44. Yanni Petrell, whoa! Playing only 9:43 per night. Petrell scores 44 points in his rookie season. Wow, these are the moments where you'd say if I was looking every few games, I would have put him on a higher line. But Yanni Petrell definitely in line for top 9 minutes next season. That is ridiculous. I don't think I've ever seen that from such low ice time. DiMaio scored 26 goals and 43 points. Lundstrom 42. Fenton 37 points and a plus 42. Matthias Forsstrom 19 goals and 32 points in his rookie season. Limited ice time as well. Noel Nord 17 goals. Okay. Ryan Graves, Kniazev, solid, always Mr. Plus Minus. Goaltending, let's check it out. Spencer Knight, yes, 41, 19, and 3. Only one shutout, but a 908 save percentage and 2.56 goals against average, while Mackenzie Blackwood went 14, 4, and 2 with 2 shutouts, a 907 save percentage, and 2.68 goals against average. A lot of best case scenarios happening this season. Fingers crossed that we can carry it into the postseason, as that was our 4th President's Trophy in the last 5 years, and I'm loving these individual performances, but nobody asks how you got to the dance, they just want to see what you do on the dance floor. In the 2030 postseason, we go on a tear as we sweep through the Islanders in round 1, take down the Blue Jackets in 5 in round number 2, sweep through the Bruins in the Eastern Conference Final, and return once again to the Stanley Cup Final, where we are now in Game 7 against the Winnipeg Jets. And if it couldn't get more dramatic, in the final 2 minutes of Game 7, down 3-1, Joel Eriksson Ek ties late to make it a 1-goal game. Now let's see if the Penguins can tie it up. But unfortunately, it ends in heartbreak as the Winnipeg Jets take down the Penguins in Pittsburgh in Game 7 to capture the 2030 Stanley Cup, as the Penguins lose in back-to-back Stanley Cup finals. So despite going 15-5 in the postseason, the Penguins miss out on their Stanley Cup. What a squad this is. I'm very proud of this team and its accomplishments, but so heartbreaking to miss out on back-to-back cups. Especially with the aging core, as 34-year-old Leon Draisaitl put up 30 points in 20 games, DeBrincat 28 and 20, Catton 24, Yager 22, Waka point per game, 5 point per game plus players. Morrissey, Eriksson Ek, Tkachuk, Noel Nord even, look at him down the list there, everybody. Sean Durzi a plus 20 in the postseason. Spencer Knight 15-5 with 4 shutouts, a 916 save percentage, and 2.4 goals against average. Incredible numbers, but unfortunately we ran into Joel Ottinger, who was not even that good, but he was much hotter in the Stanley Cup final, and that was the end of us. Checking out the awards now, Leon Draisaitl did indeed win the Art Ross Trophy with his 104 points. He also won the Hart, I believe the first of his career, definitely his first as a Penguin. Any other awards this year? Spencer Knight winning the Jennings, well done. And Draisaitl also winning the Ted Lindsay and the Rocket Richard, so a huge year of hardware for him. And down in the AHL, we were also Calder Cup champs. So, big year number 7, but still not close enough. Year number 8 up ahead. Hopefully not too many changes to this core, and we'll see what kind of group we can scrounge together for our 8th season. 2030-31, year number 8, and some major changes took place over the off-season. Essentially, I took Brady Tkachuk and Joel Eriksson-Ek, who were kind of lacking offensively, and I traded them to other teams for lesser pieces with draft picks. That would, number 1, free up money long-term so we can extend DeMaio, Wakabayashi, Jaeger, Fenton, etc. But number 2, allow us to stay competitive while trying to get some higher draft picks. By trading out, let's say, Joel Eriksson-Ek and a 3rd-round pick for a lesser player and a 1st-round pick, that can hopefully give us some lottery chances headed into next year's draft. So, the first line this season will be Catton, Draisaitl, and DeBrincat, continuing with the +5. The second line will be Wakabayashi and DeMaio on the wings, with Brayden Point as our new second line center. Brayden Point was lost in free agency. No one was signing him. 88 overall, 34 years old, 1-year deal. We have the money this year, but not long term. That's why trading out Eriksson-Ek and signing Point for this season makes sense, because it's just purely a 1-year thing. So 3 Braydens now, DeMaio, Point, and Jaeger, the team of the Braydens here. Hopefully DeMaio with his 5-star shooting can get going with Point and Wakabayashi on the second line. He's been a 28, 29 goal guy. I really want to see a big year from him. Third line, Petrell, he'll get top 9 minutes after what he did last year. I'll also be changing his number 71, as that is retired here in Pittsburgh. Jaeger and also Forsstrom here on the third line. Jaeger will be up on as second line center soon enough. That is his spot to get, just not quite yet. Same for these guys down on the fourth line. Here are some of our prospects that we've been looking at for a long time. Rensfeldt, 4th round pick with medium league potential. Smirnov, 3rd round pick with medium league potential. Lashoff, 2nd round pick with low elite potential. These guys are the future top 9s and top 6s of the future when you have DeBrincat, Draisaitl, Point moving out. Also, another casualty of the cap is Isaac Lundstrom. He was down to an 82 overall now, making $4.9 million. Unfortunately, just not sustainable. Plus, with all the players that we needed to get into the lineup, not enough room for him. Lundstrom, though, as we said at the beginning of the episode, what a legend. From a waiver pickup to a 50-plus point player, he was a big part of our team and a really good story. So there's the forward core. Sorry for the long little spiel there. Defense is still Morrissey and Ekblad. They've dropped a little bit in overall. Second pair will be Fenton and David Jiricek. Jiricek coming to us from Columbus. It was essentially Brady Tkachuk and a 3rd to Columbus for David Jiricek and a 1st. The trade value worked out in that way. Not a very offensive piece, but he'll be a good second pair right-handed guy for us, as that's very rare. And the 3rd pair will be Kniazev and Justin Barron. He came back in the Eriksson-Ek trade with a 1st-round pick as well, so we have a couple of firsts in next year's draft. Goalies, we have Spencer Knight now up at an 87 overall. Very likely his final season, though. Blackwood backing him up. Down in the AHL, 2 guys who will be in the NHL by next year for sure. Jorgensen could be there right now. He's an 81 overall, medium elite. I would want to bring him up, but I don't think it'll be worth trading out Knight or Blackwood just yet. But Jorgensen will be either our starter or our backup next season. So a big preamble, but that is how we are situated headed into year number 8. Looking for another President's Trophy and another shot at the Stanley Cup after back-to-back finals exits. Year number 8 results in back-to-back President's Trophies as we once again finish atop the NHL. This year with 121 points and tied for the most wins we've had with this franchise mode so far. 57, 18, and 7 was our record. A power play of 27.3%, best in the league, and a penalty kill of 83.2, which comparatively wasn't so bad, but still more in the middle. So funnily enough, that was the best power play, but the 2nd worst penalty kill of our time in Pittsburgh so far. Alex DeBrincat took a turn leading the scoring this year. 46 goals and 103 points from the Cat. Look at him. Berkeley Catton, the first 100-point season of his career, 100. Draisaitl, 60 goals. What? 60 goals and 96 points. A new career high in goals has to be. Oh my goodness. Shooting at 20.3%. Whoa, drops off a little bit after that, but I'll still happily take another 66-point season from Wakabayashi, 66 from 36-year-old Josh Morrissey, 42 goals from Matthias Forsstrom? What? That's crazy. I can't wait to see him in the up in like the top 6. 63 points from him, 60 from Braden Point. That's with no power play as well. 56 from Jaeger, 53 from Petrell, Rensfeld 39, Ekblad 36, Jiricek first season 35 and a plus 27. Ooh, Braden DeMaio. You know what? He didn't get power play this year because I wanted to get time for Rensfeld. But, you know, even strength, still almost 16 minutes per night, only 34 points. Not really impressive on that second line. Fenton 28, Lashoff, Smirnov, Barron, Kniazev. Goaltending now, we see Spencer Knight going 45, 9, and 6. 4 shutouts, 9.11 save percentage, and 2.42 goals against average. Blackwood 12, 11, and 1 with 4 shutouts as well. A third of his wins came by shutout, but an 8.96 save percentage and 2.96 goals against average. So especially if Knight wants crazy money, which it would be understandable if he does, this is likely the final season for Knight and Blackwood, as next year would be our 2 rookies in the AHL possibly taking the crease. But all that being said, we are once again the top team in the NHL and headed into the postseason guns blazing. And in the postseason, the Pittsburgh Penguins are Stanley Cup champions once again as they take down the Vegas Golden Knights in 6 games, including an 8-0 shutout in game number 6 to finally win the Stanley Cup. 3rd time's the charm as they capture it in their 3rd consecutive Stanley Cup final appearance. What a victory for this team. A crazy playoff tree that we'll look at in just a moment as well. But the Pittsburgh Penguins finally, once again, Stanley Cup champions. Conn Smythe going to the Cats. Alex DeBrincat, very well deserved, leading the team in the regular season and the postseason. Look at that smile. Very well deserved. And of course, the captain called over to come see Big Gary, a handshake with him, and he will raise the Stanley Cup as captain for the first time. There it is. What a beautiful sight. His 2nd Stanley Cup with the Penguins and his 1st as captain of this squad. Next up will be someone who's been with him on that first line through it all. The Conn Smythe winner, the regular season points leader, Mr. 40 goals, Alex DeBrincat. The Cat raises the Stanley Cup in Pittsburgh, with Pittsburgh in Vegas. I put the home jerseys for the thumbnail essentially, but I really want to see them win the home jerseys. Next up, the Cat will give it to the Pac-Man. 5'9", Jace Wakabayashi raises the Stanley Cup in what, his 3rd NHL season? The young leader and potential future captain, you would think, Jace Wakabayashi, from 3rd round pick at 48 overall to NHL star. And next we'll give it over to one of the longer Penguins, alternate captain Aaron Ekblad, joining this Penguins squad in free agency, and now he raises the Stanley Cup with an A on his chest. It's hard for me to exactly remember who was here for what squad. Many first Stanley Cups, many getting second as well. But ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and snap a picture. It will last a lifetime. And there are the names etched in history. Draisaitl captain, Barron, Blackwood, Catton, DeBrincat, DeMaio, Ekblad, Fenton, Forsstrom, Jiricek, Kniazev, Knight, Lashoff, Morrissey, Petrell, Point, Rensfeld, Smirnov, Wakabayashi, and Jaeger. So in the end, we took down the Capitals in 5 games in round number 1, swept through the Islanders in round number 2. In the Eastern Conference Final, 2 years ago, the Leafs were up 3-0, and we came back to win 4-3. 2 years later, they were up 3 games to 1, and we came back to win it 4-3. The Leafs just had no luck. We took them down and went on to take down Vegas in 6 games for the 2031 Cup. As we already know, Alex DeBrincat won the Conn Smythe, but Wakabayashi was right there with him. DeBrincat with 16 goals and 5 of them being game winners. He was clutch this postseason. 24 points in 22 games, but the Pac-Man also scored 24 in 22. Catton 23, Draisaitl 20, Jaeger, Forsstrom, Petrell. Look at these younger guys getting in on it. Even DeMaio, 16 points after a lackluster season. 3 goals, game winners. Braden Point signs a 1-year deal and gets a Stanley Cup. How do you do? Morrissey, Rensfeldt, and down the list we go, all the points here if you're curious. And Spencer Knight goes 16-6-0 with 3 shutouts. Not the greatest numbers, .899 save percentage and 2.89 goals against average, but the offense got it done. Blackwood came in, had 3 appearances, made 24 saves on 25 shots. All right, good stuff, Mackenzie. And finally, in the awards, finally getting back in that Stanley Cup column, President's Trophy, we've won 4 of the last 5. 3 consecutive Prince of Wales, going to the Stanley Cup final so many times. Individual awards, we have DeBrincat winning the Conn Smythe, Spencer Knight winning the Vezina, and Knight and Blackwood sharing the Jennings as well. Blackwood getting another Jennings out there. And of course, finally, the Rocket Richard going to Draisaitl in consecutive years. So if part 2 of the mandate wasn't complete yet, it's complete now. The core without Crosby, Malkin, or Letang gets another Stanley Cup. But that core is indeed getting older, so fingers crossed for the upcoming draft lottery. And no luck, as the 2 teams that we got first round picks from seem to have both made the postseason. So good to have 2 firsts, but no lottery luck. Let's get through this offseason and get ready for year number 9. So as I said, in the offseason, we do need to say goodbye to Spencer Knight and Mackenzie Blackwood. Spencer Knight, it was only a couple of years, but he was incredible. He had a record of 86, 28, and 9 with 5 shutouts, a plus 900 save percentage, about 2.5 goals against on average, 1 Stanley Cup, 1 Vezina, 1 Jennings. Well done to Spencer Knight. But the real story, the real heartbreaker is Mackenzie Blackwood. I don't remember the exact trade that we got him in, but it wasn't a deal in which we thought, hey, this guy's going to be like a big piece of our team moving forward. But he ended up appearing in 298 games over parts of 8 seasons here in Pittsburgh, winning 181 games, 85 losses, and 18 overtime losses. 21 shutouts, 1 Vezina, 4 Jennings, 2 Stanley Cups. Mackenzie Blackwood, you're on the ballot, buddy. The Data 782 Hall of Fame is waiting for you. In the postseason as well, did you have any New Jersey numbers? So minus 2 games with New Jersey with no win. So 73 games played, 42 and 25. Never an overtime loss. That's crazy, actually. 4 shutouts, 908 save percentage, and 2.89 goals against average. Mackenzie Blackwood, take a bow. Year number 9, let's hit it. First line, Catton, Draisaitl, and DeBrincat with the +5, abso-fruitly. Second line, Wakabayashi, Jaeger, and Forsstrom. Forsstrom was crazy last year. Let's see what we can do with Jaeger and Wakabayashi as the playmakers, as DeMaio kind of lost his spot there. So the third line will now be Lashoff, Smirnov, and Rensfeldt, all guys who have low or medium league potential. And the fourth line will be Petrell, DeMaio, and Nord. Yes, it's crazy to have DeMaio as fourth line center, but he'll also be getting a finishing role on the second unit power play. So if he can't do it this year, we'll probably just move on from him because there's so many other good names. But DeMaio's been a good story for us. I want to see him succeed. Just that I can't put all my eggs in his basket and give everyone else fourth line minutes. If I don't have to give him to Smirnov, I don't want to give him to Smirnov. Defense, Morrissey at 36 years of age is now down to an 86 overall. Ekblad also down to an 85, so the top pair will be Morrissey and Jiricek. Second pair, Fenton, Ekblad. Third pair, Puistola and Barron. I got this guy Puistola in free agency. We actually drafted him in the 6th round back in 2025, so that's great. Goaltending, hold on to your hats because Jorgensen is an 86 overall for his rookie season. 23 years of age, the Swedish netminder who was drafted 129th back in 2027. He has spent 2 full seasons in the AHL. Now he's an 86 ready for the NHL. He's backed up by Tyler Baker, 5th round pick in 2026. So the AHL starter and backup will now be the NHL starter and backup for 2031. Coming off of a Stanley Cup, we are still very strong. The aging core still has the overall to get it done. So fingers crossed for year number 9. What? In year number 9, the Penguins win another President's Trophy. That's understandable. That's expected. But a 60-win season, the first in franchise history. 123 points and a record of 60, 19, and 3, scoring over 4.5 goals per game. A power play of 29.6%, our highest yet. And a penalty kill percentage of 84.8, quite respectable. What a season. The cat just keeps getting better. And Draisaitl, another 60-goal season. What? Alex DeBrincat, at the age of 34, has a career year, scoring 122 points, new career high in goals and assists, 55 goals plus 53. What? Incredible. Leon Draisaitl, back-to-back 60-goal seasons at 35 and 36 years of age, new career high of 120 points, shooting even better than last season, 21.9%, 41 power play points. Oh. Berkeley Catton, new career high as well, 113 points from him. That first line was just demolishing the league. Career high in goals and assists from Berkeley. Very high, much higher than the usual for the goals especially. Josh Morrissey at 37 years of age, a new career high of 74 points and now at an 84 overall. Jaeger, new career high at 70 points. Forsstrom, 47 goals and 68 points. Look at Rensfeldt. Rensfeldt playing 13.5 minutes per night. Look at you. 68 points. Wakabayashi, 62. Jay Lashaw, 53. Low elite second round pick in 2026. DiMaio, 26 goals and 44 points in 11 minutes per night. That's what I like to see. That probably earns him a spot next season unless money gets really tight. Petrell, 43. So not quite what we were thinking he would become. Last season he scored 53 with 13.33 per night. Okay, but the ice time was much lower. All right, understandable. That's true. Wasn't on the second line. Yerchek, 43. Plus 64. Smirnov, 40 points. Nord, 32. Ekblad, 32. Fenton, 26. Barron, 16. Puistola, 16 and a plus 30. Goaltending. Jorgensen in his rookie season goes 47, 13, and 3 with 5 shutouts, but an .899 save percentage and 2.81 goals against average. So not the greatest peripherals, but a fantastic rookie season record. Probably franchise records being set right there. Baker as his backup going 13, 6, and 0 with 1 shutout, .901 save percentage, and 2.76 goals against. Heading into the postseason, we are going to be trying to make a 4th consecutive Stanley Cup final and also go for back-to-back Stanley Cups. As I keep saying, the core is aging, but they seem to be aging like the finest of wines. And in the postseason, 7 years after McDavid and the Oilers eliminated us in the Stanley Cup final, we get our revenge and win the 2032 Stanley Cup. Back-to-back Stanley Cup championships for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Not the first time in franchise history, that's for sure. It was a 4th consecutive Stanley Cup final, and we sweep the Oilers here in Edmonton in game number 4 to win our 2nd consecutive Stanley Cup. What a journey, and how about doing it against the Oilers? Leon versus Connor. Conn Smythe this year going to Braden Jaeger. What? I wonder if that's just a glitch because of the finals or something. We'll see after, but that's the case. What a story from the 2023 draftee. And speaking of storyline, how about this? As Leon Draisaitl raises the Stanley Cup in his former home arena, the team that drafted him as captain of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Crazy. As this entire franchise mode series, it feels like it's been Pittsburgh and Edmonton. Although we've only faced off in 2 Stanley Cup finals, this is another Stanley Cup for us. Let's go ahead and give it to DeBrincat right away. Another Stanley Cup for us. I believe Edmonton won 3 Stanley Cups as well. So through 9 seasons, I believe 3 cups from us, 3 cups from Edmonton, and then 3 cups for the other 30 teams in the NHL. So it's really been all Pittsburgh and Edmonton. Let's get it over to Josh Morrissey next. He didn't get it last time. DeBrincat, I had to give him to him first again this time, but Josh Morrissey, let's see him raise that Stanley Cup. What a monster. He was on the block in Winnipeg. We picked him up, and it was one of our best decisions of the entire series. Next up, let's get into the rookie. Let's get into the rookie Swede. Look at that beard. Jorgensen, Stanley Cup champion in his rookie season. Not many goaltenders that have that accomplishment under their belts. Starter in his first year, Stanley Cup champion in his first year. What a squad. Back-to-back cups for the Penguins organization once again. Take a picture. It'll last a lifetime. Stanley Cup champions. And you know what? I forgot to look. Go back in the video if you didn't look. Crosby and Malkin should be in that coaching staff. Kessel's still in the AHL staff, but Crosby and Malkin should be in that NHL staff getting in on the Stanley Cup picture. Penguins 20-31-32, Draisaitl, Baker, Barron, Catton, DeBrincat, DiMaio, Ekblad, Fenton, Forsstrom, Jiricek, Jorgensen, Lashoff, Morrissey, Nord, Petrel, Puistola, Rensfeldt, Smirnov, Wakabayashi, and Jaeger. And even another storyline I forgot to mention was that Spencer Knight signed with the Edmonton Oilers, so our former goaltender who just came off winning the Vezina with us. We faced in the Stanley Cup final and we swept them. So round number 1 was scary. It was a 7-game series against the Capitals. We won it in 7. Smooth sailing from there, taking down the Islanders again in 5, the Red Wings in 6, and then the Oilers in 4 to win our back-to-back cups. So for Jaeger, it must have been because of the plus-minus, I suppose. No power play points, only 6 goals, no game winners, but 28 points in 22 games. Tied with Berkeley Catton, but that plus 21 put him over the edge, I suppose. DeBrincat had 27, Waka 25, Forsstrom 20, Draisaitl 19, and down the list we go. Great postseason performers right there, pluses throughout the lineup. And goaltending, of course, Jorgensen 16, 5, and 1. Again, not the most impressive numbers. 898 save percentage, 2.77 goals against, but a rookie Stanley Cup champion. So back-to-back cups, another President's Trophy. Individual awards, Alex DeBrincat does win the Art Ross, the first of his career. The heart goes to Draisaitl, though. How about that? And then James Norris to Morrissey at 37 years of age. Josh Morrissey finally gets the recognition that he has deserved for so long. His first James Norris Memorial Trophy. Well done. And a Lady Bing to DeBrincat, the second, I believe, of his career. Anything else? Jaeger winning the Conn Smythe. Any other awards? Oh, look at that. Patrick Hornquist as the coach of the Panthers. Very fitting. Ted Lindsay going to Draisaitl. And Maurice Richard to Sean Avery. Look at that. Shout out to Sean Avery, one of our created players in this series. I just can't get over Brayden Yager, though. What a story. So many great pieces on this team. But Yager, who took a while to get out of the WHL, the AHL, out of the bottom 6, finally into the top 6, and he rewards us with a Conn Smythe performance to win another Stanley Cup. Well done by a player who many would have perhaps written off. So a great year of hardware, another Stanley Cup here in Pittsburgh. The core's getting older. I thought it would be time to move on soon, but when I look at all this hardware, I don't know. So we'll see what kind of squad we can put together for year number 10 headed into 2032-33. Wow. But in the 2032 off-season, Josh Morrissey decides to call it a career after those back-to-back Stanley Cups and coming off of a Norris Trophy as well, the best season of his career. Still an 86 overall, still signed. Actually, he was on an extension. He could have been signed on for a couple more years. He decides to retire. Oh, that is a huge blow to us as well. That's going to really hurt the blue line. Josh Morrissey goes out with 755 points in 1,244 games with us over the course of 7 and a half seasons. He scored, he appeared in 613 games, scoring 82 goals, 416 assists, and 498 points. Almost 500 points in just over 600 games, a Norris Trophy, 3 Stanley Cups. He was on the block in Winnipeg, scoring 20-30 points a year, comes to Pittsburgh, scores upwards of 50 assists per year, consistent 60-70 point player. What a career. He turned it around here in Pittsburgh. He was the heir to Chris Letang, and he just ran with the opportunity, and he was a huge part of our team. Definitely a Data 782 Hall of Fame nominee. 122 points in 208 postseason games as well, minus a few seasons in Winnipeg. Like I said, 3 Stanley Cups with the Penguins. Josh Morrissey, thank you for everything. We will not forget you. That's a lot of money and a big hole on the blue line. I'll try to see what I can do this off season, but it won't be the same without you, buddy. Enjoy retirement. Truly going out on a high note. Year number 10, double digits here in Pittsburgh, and the first line is rolling all the same. Catton, Draisaitl, and DeBrincat with the +5. Draisaitl now down to a 92 overall, though, but as we saw last season, doesn't really matter when it comes to point production. Second line, Forsstrom, Jaeger, and Waka. Third line, Lashoff, Smirnov, and Rensfeldt. Now the fourth line, we got this guy, Benjamin Adamski, a couple of seasons ago from the Coyotes, in basically a deal where I was just trying to swap prospects and a few picks for one prospect. He was a medium top 6 enforcer, a medium elite enforcer, and he's now grown to an 86 overall. So he has the 5-star physical, 4.5-star shooting, 2.5-star skating, I have no idea how he'll simulate. I'm going to try 4th line forward plus 2nd unit power play and one of the top penalty kill units. We'll see how he does and if he can actually be like a scoring top 9 guy while also using his enforcer abilities. But maybe he's just like a really good 4th liner. I don't know. Petrell and Nord will also be here in the 4th. Noel Nord, what a trooper. On defense, we made a big move in the offseason, picking up Jamie Draisaitl from the Anaheim Ducks. We moved out Braden DiMaio and a few other prospects to get him. The Ducks were sellers, and we needed a top pair defenseman, so Jamie Draisaitl will play with David Jiricek on the top pair here in Pittsburgh. Fenton and Ekblad on the 2nd. Ekblad now down to an 80 overall. And Barron with Corey Sharp on the 3rd pair. Sharp was a 6th round pick in 2027. Here he is in the NHL. Great to see. Fenton was potentially the heir to Josh Morrissey, but it wouldn't be a crazy idea to have him there. But I do like him as an 84 overall, as a solid 2nd pair guy with Ekblad. Maybe he goes up to the top pair sometime soon, but we'll keep it like that for now. Goaltenders, it's Jorgensen at an 85 overall to start this season. Not sure why. And Baker is backing him up as he has grown to an 84 overall. Coming off of back-to-back Stanley Cups and crazy offensive outputs from the older players on this squad last season, let's see what the Penguins have in store for their 10th season with GM Data and his team in the organization. Another Metropolitan Division and another Eastern Conference title for the Penguins here in year number 10, but for just the 2nd time in the last 8 years, no President's Trophy and not even a 2nd place finish. 3rd place finish for the Penguins, but it was an 8th consecutive 50-plus win season. 52, 28, and 2 was the record with 106 points. The power play percentage sat at 25.9 to lead the NHL, and the penalty kill at 85.5 to be among the top 10. Scoring wasn't as top-heavy this season, but Alex DeBrincat still led the way with another 40-plus goal season. 44 goals and 97 points from the Cat, 94 from Captain Leon, 85-point season from Catton, 80 points and a team-leading 55 goals from Matthias Forsstrom. How about this guy, Matthias? An absolute animal out there. 55 goals, shooting at 17.2%, 320 shots as well. Wakabayashi, is that a career high for the Pac-Man? I believe it is, and yes, it is. 73 points. Jace Wakabayashi, new career high. Well done. Draisait's first season as a Penguin, 72 points, exactly what we needed, filling the hole that Morrissey left behind. Rensfeld, 31 goals and 63 points. Jaeger, 62 points, only 8 goals. Big playmaking season from him. Lashoff, 60, then a big drop. Smirnov's, Fenton, Adamski, his rookie season here. 27 points in the end, 10 minutes, 51 seconds per night with the special teams, 122 penalty minutes. Maybe he's a trade candidate because he'll have a lot of value. I'm not sure if as an enforcer he'll necessarily sim super well. Petrell, Nord, Ekblad, possibly his last season. Jiricek plus 42, Sharp, Barron. Goaltending, Jorgensen went 41, 22, and 1 with 6 shutouts, 901 save percentage, and 2.73 goals against from the Swede. Baker backing him up, going 11, 7, and 1 with 1 shutout, a 905 save percentage, and 2.67 goals against. Headed into the postseason, we are on a 4-year streak of reaching the Stanley Cup final. We'll see if not only can we reach it and for a 6th time, but can we win a 3rd consecutive cup. In the postseason, to no one's surprise, we once again made it to the Stanley Cup final, a 5th consecutive appearance, but in a rematch of what took place 4 years prior in 2029, the Canucks once again beat us in 5 games. We took down the Maple Leafs in 6, the Blue Jackets in 5, the Lightning in 7, but then once again fell in 5 to Vancouver. So although we didn't win a 3rd consecutive cup, we still had great performances in the postseason. The captain had 28 points in 23 games. Jaeger 25, shout out to him. Same for Wakabayashi as well, 2 great playmakers. DeBrincat 23, Forsstrom 16 goals and 20 points in 23 games. Draisaitl, Catton, and everyone down the list this postseason. Tough plus minuses in the bottom. Whoa! Adamski -7 and 52 penalty minutes. Whoa. I don't know if I like that enforcer there. And Jorgensen went 13, 9, and 1 with an 877 save percentage and 3.58 goals against average, despite having a shutout. Whoa, Jorgensen, buddy, you gotta pick it up. In the awards, as we know, a 5th consecutive Prince of Wales. Art Ross going to McDavid. He still got it. Tiny Stolars Jr. winning the James Norris. Shout out to Tiny Stolars. Any awards? Jorgensen wins the Vezina and the Jennings. Really? With those numbers? Okay. I guess the win record really helped him out. But Jorgensen, congrats, buddy. Vezina and Jennings going to you. Another Jack Adams to Patrick Hornquist. And no Morrissey Richard, unfortunately, to Forsstrom. I was hoping that he might, but McDavid wins another in his advanced age. Speaking of age, we'll see if any retirements come our way in 2033, but if not, we'll move on through the offseason and get ready for year number 11. We do indeed get one big retirement in 2033 as Aaron Ekblad calls it a career. After spending 8 seasons here in Pittsburgh, he signed as a free agent. He came here to play top pair with Morrissey most of his time. He won 3 Stanley Cups, put up good numbers, the best numbers of his career, I believe. He left Florida in free agency looking for a good team and a good deal. We paid him well. We gave him his ice time, and he got all the accolades that he deserves. Aaron, buddy, thank you for your time here in Pittsburgh, and all the best in retirement. Year number 11, and I like what we were able to do in this offseason. As headed into 2033-34, Catton, Draisaitl, and DeBrincat maintained on the first line, although the overalls are slowly dropping. On the second line, Waka with Jaeger and Forsstrom. Forsstrom, you know what? This guy could be our future first-line center for Draisaitl, scoring 50 goals a year. You never know. Third line will be Lashoff, Smirnov, and Rensfeldt. And the fourth line will be Nord, this guy Tristan Odell, who was a third-round pick in 2029, and Palapuz, who was a second-round pick in 2027, making his NHL debut now at 24 years of age. On defense, after long last, the fans have been calling for it. We went out and acquired one of the created players for this series, Tiny Stolars Jr. coming in on defense. Yurchuk and Draisaitl will stay on the top pair, but Stolars Jr. and Fenton will play on the second pair. Tiny Stolars Jr. was created by Red Boy. That was his prize for being one of the winners of the Data 782 Fantasy Hockey League last season. Wonky stats for sure, 99s for all the puck skills, the shooting, 70 defensive awareness, which is not ideal, but he does simulate quite well. 104 points last season. The Predators were sellers. They didn't have very high trade value on him. We gave them a good package of our fringe, mid 80 overall guys who were just too good for our bottom 6, and there you have it. On the third pair, we'll have Sam Sawchuk, who was a first-round pick of Detroit in 2029, and Corey Sharp, who was a 6th-round pick in 2027, as I previously mentioned. Really good to see him being an everyday piece now in this Penguins lineup. Goaltending, Jorgensen's back at an 86 overall. He's backed up by Baker, who's at an 84. We'll see if Jorgensen, although he won the Vezina, can really take the crease this season. The numbers, the save percentage, it hasn't really been great, but we'll see what we can do here for year number 11, as we'll see if we can make it a 6th consecutive Stanley Cup Finals appearance. In year number 11, we're back to feeling presidential as the Penguins win another President's Trophy with 116 points, a record of 55, 21, and 6. Through about 15 or 20 games, we were at 500, so a huge turnaround to have this record. 4 goals for per game and 2.39 against. That is unheard of in the simulation, especially this far down. 2.39, wow. Power play of 27.8% to lead the NHL, and a penalty kill of 84.2 to be among the top 10. In the regular season scoring, check this out. Tiny Stolars Jr. scores 86 points in his Penguins debut. Not even playing first pair, just power play and second pair. Almost 21 minutes per night as an 82 overall. He scores 86 points. First defenseman to lead the team in points, I don't know, maybe in franchise history? I'm not sure about that. Draisaitl slowing down, but still 42 goals and 83 points from the now 84 overall German. The captain leading by example. The Cat still getting his 40-plus goal pace done as he scores 43 goals and 82 points in 82 games. Well done from him. Catton 81, Wakabayashi a new career high for the Pac-Man, 80 points in 82 games. In the regular season scoring, we see Tiny Stolars leading the way with 86 points in his first season as a Penguin. It could be the first time in Penguins history that a defenseman leads the team in scoring. Only an 82 overall, playing 21 minutes per night, not 24, 25, 26, 21 per night, and he scores 86 points and is a plus 41. Look at him. Draisaitl still scores 42 goals and 83 points at 38 years of age. The captain leading by example. The Cat scores 43 goals, continuing that 40-plus pace, still getting it done at 36 years of age. He was point per game. Catton, 81 points. The Pac-Man, new career high of 80 points from Wakabayashi. Well done. Forsstrom leads the team in goals with 47 goals and 77 points. I am looking forward to trying him out as first-line center. Jaeger, 71. Rensfeldt, 69. This guy is crazy. I got to get him into the top 6. These are crazy numbers for such limited ice time. Incredible. Lashoff, 59. Draisaitl, bit of a step down to 54, but we'll still accept that. Yeah, why not? Smirnov, Nord, Fenton, Palapuz, Sharp, Odell, Yurchuk, and Sawchuk all the way down there. Goaltending this season, Jorgensen went 40, 17, and 4. His best season yet by far. 9 shutouts, a .912 save percentage, and 2.41 goals against average. But look at Baker backing him up. 15, 4, and 2 with 3 shutouts, .920 save percentage, and 2.17 goals against. So just by the way, Jorgensen's only signed on for 1 more year after this one. I wouldn't be opposed to Baker taking over the crease if Jorgensen's asking for crazy money. Possibly back-to-back Vezinas right there, so quite a season. We are cruising, we are presidential, and we're searching for a sixth consecutive Stanley Cup final in 2034. And wouldn't you know it, in the 2034 Stanley Cup final, it's a battle of the flightless birds, the Ducks versus the Penguins. Many people have been waiting for this matchup, and it's finally come. It's also a matchup that sees 2 of our created players going at it. Tiny Stolarz Jr. here on the Penguins versus Sean Avery on the Anaheim Ducks. But in Game 7, the Penguins fall 4-3 to the Ducks. Really unfortunate, as we were up 3-1 in the series, but the slow sim killed us. It seems like the calendar sim is our friend. We've been to 6 consecutive Stanley Cup finals. The calendar sim loves us, but whenever we go into the slow sim, it becomes 50-50 once we get to that final. So a heartbreaking end. Zegras wins the Conn Smythe. Zegras, Michkov, Avery. It's a crazy squad there in Anaheim. We lose in 7. We're now 2-4 over the last 6 years in Stanley Cup final appearances. Great to have 2 cups. Incredible to have 6 finals appearances, but sad to have lost 4 of those. So it was a tough journey. We took down the Flyers in 6, Blue Jackets in 6, Red Wings in 7, but then fell in 7 ourselves to the Ducks for the 2034 Cup. I'm still shocked by 6 consecutive Stanley Cup finals and 8 Stanley Cup finals in the last 10 years, but let's move on. Tiny Stolarz Jr. led the team with 27 points in 26 games. He probably would have been our Conn Smythe winner. Look at that in his first season in Pittsburgh. DeBrincat scored 26 points per game. He still got it. Jaeger, 23. Draisaitl and Forsstrom, 22. Rensfeldt, 21. We got to get him in the top 6 next year. Waka with 18 points. Lashoff as well. Down the list, we see all of our lineup. Goaltending, Jorgensen went 15, 10, and 1. He had 4 shutouts. Wow, and a .922 save percentage. 2.31 goals against average, but again, the slow sim did him dirty. Looking at the awards, of course, the Ducks winning the Cup. We win another President's Trophy. Sean Avery here in Anaheim was just a force to be reckoned with in the postseason, on top of Zegras and Michkov, winning the Art Ross, the Hart, the Ted Lindsay, the Rocket Richard. Tiny Stolarz Jr. does win the 2nd James Norris of his career and his 2nd in as many years, plus his 1st as a Penguin. Fantastic to see that. Jorgensen winning back-to-back Vezina trophies and back-to-back Jennings. So even though he may not stick around for too much longer with his contract demands, great to see that we're getting some good regular season goaltending, and that's it for the awards there. So barring any retirements in 2034, which may very well be possible, we'll move on to year number 12 and see if anything comes our way in the offseason. Wow, and indeed a huge retirement here in 2034 as Alex DeBrincat, the Cat, calls it a career. Only 36 years of age, still an 86 overall, just scored a 40-goal season. I'm shocked that he retired. It's unfortunate the game does that sometimes. But Alex DeBrincat goes out with 636 goals and 1,360 points in 1,352 games, just over a point per game. He played 10 seasons in Pittsburgh, winning 3 Stanley Cups. We got him from Ottawa in a 3-team trade. They wanted to move him out. It wasn't working out for the Senators. We picked him up, and he played 10 seasons here in Pittsburgh. It was a fantastic deal in the end. And we look at his total numbers as a Pen. He ended up playing 820 games as a Penguin. I know he turned injuries off at one point, but before that, he was always Mr. Consistent. 10 full seasons, never missing a game, even when the injuries were turned on. So 820 games played, 414 goals, 501 assists for 915 points through those 820 games. 2 Lady Bings, 1 Conn Smythe, 1 Art Ross, 3 Stanley Cups. As we can see in the postseason, well above a point per game as well, minus just 9 games with Chicago in 2020. Almost all of his numbers coming with the Penguins, over 200 points in over 200 games. Alex DeBrincat, you have been an absolute trooper. You have been a staple. You have been a fixture. You have been a pillar for the Pittsburgh Penguins organization. That's a statue outside of PPG Paints Arena for sure. A Data 782 Hall of Fame nominee. We wish you all the best in retirement. All right, year number 12, the first year of the post-DeBrincat era. Catton, Draisaitl, and now Jace. Wakabayashi will be our first line moving forward. The Pac-Man finally getting onto the first line as an 88 overall. With the +5, I'm hoping for a career year. The second line will now be Forsstrom, Jaeger, and Rensfeldt, who's really proven himself for the third line minutes. Now let's see him on the second line. The third line will now be Lashoff, Smirnov, and Seth Jarvis, who we signed in free agency. And the fourth line will be Nord, Odell, and Palapuz. On defense, we're still rolling with the same Yerchek, Drysdale top pair, Tiny Stolars with Landon Fenton on the second pair, and Corey Sharp with Sam Sawchuk on the third pair. You know what? Now that I think about it, I'm actually pretty tempted to try Stolars on the top pair. Yerchek scored like 13 points last season. Maybe it's not good to have 2 super offensive guys together, but you know what? Let's give it a try. Stolars and Drysdale will be the top pair. Fenton, Yerchek, the second pair. Chemistry throughout, lovely. Goaltending, Jorgensen, 87 overall. He'll be starting possibly his last season. I'm not sure what he'll want as an extension. And Baker at an 84 backing him up. So I don't got to tell you how many President's Trophies and Stanley Cup Finals we've made consecutively in the last few years. We're a very good team who may be in its final season with its captain. Draisaitl, 38 years old now. Let's try and make it a special one in 2034-35. Also forgot to mention that now with Ekblad and Morrissey gone, DeBrincat was one of our alternate captains. Now he's gone as well. 2 openings with Draisaitl still being the captain. I think Jaeger getting one of the alternate captaincies makes sense. He was our first draft pick in our first offseason with the team. He's been here the whole time. And I think the other alternate captaincy going to the born leader X Factor, Jace Pac-Man Wakabayashi. Here's our leadership core moving forward. Keep the accolades coming in year number 12 as it's back-to-back President's Trophies and 5 in our last 6 years here in Pittsburgh, finishing first place with 121 points and a record of 57, 18, and 7. The goals for versus goals against wasn't as great this season as previous years. Power play of 29.6%, look at that, but up pretty much across the league. Still very good to be leading the NHL. And penalty kill at 84.0, which comparatively was actually 4th best in the NHL, so all right, we'll take it. The Pac-Man led the team in scoring with 81 points, 32 goals and 81 points through 82 games for Wakabayashi. Draisaitl at 39 years of age now, 79 points. He still got the overall, 41 goals from Leon. Rensfeldt, 77 points. He got the ice time and he delivered, 77 from him. Forsstrom, 49 goals. This guy's crazy. Stolars Jr., a bit of a step back compared to the last couple of years, but still 74 points. Catton, 72, a bit of a step back as well. Jaeger, 63, Lashoff, Drysdale, and everyone else. Fenton actually had a big year, 47 points from Landon Fenton. I think that's a career high for him, and we'll see the rest of the team there. Goaltending, Jorgensen went 41, 17, and 5 with 2 shutouts, but an .888 save percentage and 3.15 goals against average. So you know what? I got him extended for pretty cheap, but I think I'd be okay with moving on from him. Even though he's won a couple of Vezinas, I can't say that his numbers especially impress me. Through 4 NHL seasons, he's just hanging on to a 900 save percentage and 2.78 goals against average, while other goalies are doing better. Even if it's not that great, Baker still has been doing better than him, and he's 16, 1, and 2. Tyler Baker in his career so far, 4 years of being a backup, he's 55, 18, and 5. So I think I'm ready to roll with Baker and our AHL guy as a tandem next season. But I digress. A strong regular season from everyone here in Pittsburgh. Now the question, of course, will be, can we make it 7 consecutive Stanley Cup final appearances? Of course it is! And in the Stanley Cup final, we sweep the Seattle Kraken to win our 3rd Stanley Cup in the last 5 years. What a crazy, crazy storyline. As you'll see in the playoff tree, it was a tough journey to the Stanley Cup, but we win another one. The Conn Smythe going to Berkeley Catton for the first time in his career. And of course, Captain Leon coming to accept the Stanley Cup, raising it as captain of the Penguins for the 3rd time in his career. Possibly the last time if this season could be retirement. Does he go out on the highest of notes? raising the Stanley Cup at Climate Pledge Arena. And he'll pass it off to Tiny Stolarz Jr. for all of you who've been waiting to see this. Tiny raising the cup as a Pittsburgh Penguin. Look at this. Oh, there's a lot of people, especially in Discord server, going to be eating that picture up right there. Tiny Stolarz Jr. Take a picture of that one. Let's get it over to Fenton, the 6'5" Norwegian defenseman. He's been a pillar on the back end of the top four for a long time now. Landon Fenton gets to raise the cup next. And you know what? Let's end it off with Dmitry Smirnov, who's been a third-line mainstay. He has been a solid defensive two-way force in that bottom six. He's been here for a while, an unsung hero of this team, Dmitry Smirnov. Gather around once again, everybody. See if you can see Kessel, Crosby, and Malkin. I see Gino in the top left. There he is. Take a picture. It'll last a lifetime. So that is indeed our first Stanley Cup with all three of Crosby, Malkin, and Kessel being a part of the coaching staff. Incredible story right there. And there are your champions. So in the end, how about this for a playoff tree, as every one of the first 3 rounds went to 7. We beat the Lightning in 7, the Flyers in 7, the Canadiens in 7, and then finally smooth sailing as we swept the Kraken in the 2035 final. All calendar simulation. If any of that was slow sim, I bet we would have lost some of those game 7s. In the end, Stolarz Jr. and Catton tied for 27 points through 25 games. Catton had the better plus-minus, and 2 of his goals were game winners, so the Conn Smythe went to him. But Draisaitl scored 15 goals and 24 points. Waka had 24. Forsstrom 15 goals as well and 21 points. Jaeger, Drysdale, Lashoff, Rensfeldt, a great team effort here in the postseason. Jorgensen, 16, 8, and 1, 1 shutout, 906 save percentage, 2.76 goals against average. As I said earlier, the regular season numbers, always above 40 wins, but tough numbers, and if he wasn't as good of a team, I'm not sure if he'd really be where he is. Like, last season was really his only, really good one. His postseason numbers, 902 save percentage, 2.84 goals against. I'm not sure if it's sustainable, especially if we're moving into the post-Draisaitl era after this postseason. In the awards, it was only Berkeley Catton winning the Conn Smythe, nothing else there, and we're ready to head into year number 13. Will we get any retirements this offseason? We'll see, but regardless, I think we're in a good spot moving forward. In the offseason, Draisaitl does not retire, but our head coach does. Here are some of his stats on the screen. Take out the one season where we tanked, and his career numbers were close to a 70% winning percentage year in, year out. I think he can go in the coaching category for the Data 782 Hall of Fame nominees. Grossman, thank you for everything, my friend. Now, Sidney Crosby will be promoted to NHL head coach moving forward. What a story. Malkin has been the AHL head coach before, but I like Crosby's defensive attributes more. So Crosby will be our NHL head coach moving forward. How about that for the storyline? Malkin, his associate, Kessel, the assistant coach, and we'll hire someone else to be the new goalie coach. Year number 13, and we're changing things up with Sidney Crosby as our NHL head coach this season. Catton and Draisaitl staying on the top line, but let's try Forsstrom giving that first line the +5 here on the first line. Wakabayashi was great last season. It's not that I don't want him to be there, but I think Forsstrom is our future first line centerman with Waka being on the right wing. So for what is likely the last season of Draisaitl's career, Forsstrom has been ridiculous. Let's get him on the first line. He's a consistent 40-goal guy. He fills in the spot that DeBrincat left vacant, so let's see what happens with him. Waka, Jaeger, and Rensfeldt will be the second line. Lashoff, Smirnov, and Jarvis on the third line. Nord, Odell, and Palapuz on the fourth line. If we were still doing updates every season, Rensfeldt, Forsstrom, these guys would have X factors by now. I'm tempted to add some even now, but I'm trying to hold to my my original philosophy. Yurchek and Drysdale will play top pair. Unfortunately, the defense doesn't have great chemistry under Crosby. Fenton and Stolarz Jr. will be the second pair. And the third pair, instead of Sharp and Sawchuk, we're going to do Sharp and McGillney. McGillney is a former 6th round pick of ours. Back-to-back, I think, 80-point seasons in the AHL. So let's see how he does, an offensive defenseman on the third pair, plus second unit power play. For the goaltenders, Oleg Kavanov actually leapfrogged Baker, and he'll be our starter this season. Second round pick back in 2030. He's now an 87 overall, so he will start with Baker backing him up. Jorgensen was moved out in a trade. He was down to an 84 overall, actually, so it made a lot of sense to move him out. And here's our lineup for 2035-36. Coming off of another Stanley Cup victory, and with Leon Draisaitl likely in his final season, let's make it a good one. And you know what? Now that I think about it, Jarvis didn't have the craziest season last year, and Noel Nord has been such a trooper. Let's try Nord on the third line with a +1 with Smirnov and Lashoff. Why not? Noel Nord, you earned it, buddy. Boy, oh boy, the Penguins marched their way to another President's Trophy in 2035-36. First spot in the NHL once again with 122 points. 59, 19, and 4 was the record. Great goal differential. Power play of 26% to lead the league. And a penalty kill of 87.5 to also lead the league. What a year. Leon Draisaitl, how does he do it? Another 60-goal season from the now 40-year-old captain. 60 goals and 100 points from Leon Draisaitl. This man is incredible, going down as one of the greatest captains and players in NHL history at this point. Tiny Stolarz Jr. put up 99 points. How do you do? Catton 98. Forsstrom 50 goals and 92 points. From a top 6 prospect that we picked up from the LA Kings to be a perennial 50-plus goal scorer, 40-plus goal scorer. What a pickup. Wakabayashi 78 points, Rensfeldt 70, Draisaitl 70, good bounce back year from him, Jaeger 63, Lashoff 54, Noel Nord scores 48 points. He finally gets let out of his cage on the fourth line, and he scores 48 points. How do you do? Smirnov 42, Jarvis still 32 as a fourth liner, well done. McGillney, not too bad for a 79 overall in his rookie season, 31 points. Odell, Fenton, Palapuz, Yerchek, and Sharp. Goaltenders this season, Kavanagh went 47, 16, and 4 with 3 shutouts, a .906 save percentage, and 2.64 goals against average. But Baker continues to be the greatest backup in the league right now. 12, 3, and 0 was his record with 2 shutouts, a .907 save percentage, and 2.24 goals against average. Again, I would be tempted to make him the starter. The only thing holding him back right now is his overall, but if he simulates well, I'd be tempted to give him the reins for an entire season. But that being said, another incredible regular season here in Pittsburgh. Let's not waste what could be Draisaitl's final year. Another 60-goal season from him. We're firing on all cylinders. Let's make it another Stanley Cup final appearance. And yes, indeed, the Pittsburgh Penguins are once again Stanley Cup champions. How do they keep doing this? As we take down the Vancouver Canucks in, I believe it was a 6-game series, as we finally get revenge on them. They had beaten us twice before in 5 games both times, so we finally get our revenge on the Canucks and win the Stanley Cup in Vancouver, no less, in what was our 8th consecutive Stanley Cup Finals appearance. The Conn Smythe this year going to Berkeley Catton once again. Back-to-back Conn Smythes for the Saskatchewan native. And now Leon Draisaitl at 40 years of age is called over once again. He has captained his team to 8 consecutive Stanley Cup Finals. I believe he's been the captain for all of those. And he raises another Stanley Cup at 40 years of age, solidifying himself truly, if he hadn't already, as one of the greatest players in NHL history. Gather round once again, ladies and gentlemen. Gino, Sid, Leon, everybody, get in here. There's Sid. You can see him in the suit and tie. Gino and Sid, snap a picture. It'll last a lifetime. Your 2035-36 champions etched in history. So in the end, it was another destructive run to the Stanley Cup as we swept the Islanders. Poor Islanders in this franchise mode series. No luck for them. Ever since they beat us in 7 in round 1 of year number 5, we just never let them get away with it again. In the second round, we took down the Capitals in 5, then the Bruins in 6, and in the Stanley Cup final, we took down the Canucks finally in a 6-game series. Wow, I see why Catton won the Conn Smythe. He scored 37 points in 21 games. Berkeley, buddy, take a bow. Oh my goodness, and Draisaitl and Forsstrom both scoring above 30 points. So this first line combined for over 100 points. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Draisaitl 33, Forsstrom 32, leading the postseason in goals with 16. Rensfeldt point per game at 21. Jaeger, Stolarz Jr. 20. Waka 16, Draisaitl 13, and the rest of the team there down the list. Goaltending, let's see how Kavanagh did. 16, 4, and 1 with 3 shutouts, .904 save percentage, and 2.85 goals against average. Now, things got crazy for the awards as, yes, another Stanley Cup, another President's Trophy. Individual awards, we didn't see this. Leon Draisaitl, his 100-point season was enough to lead the NHL, and he wins another Art Ross Trophy. But no Hart. The Hart goes to Tiny Stolarz Jr., the first defenseman to win it, I think, in the entire franchise mode so far. Tiny Stolarz Jr. wins the Hart, and of course the Norris, his third in the last 4 years, his second with us as a Pittsburgh Penguin. Ridiculous stuff from him. He was good, but since he joined Pittsburgh, he just got that much better. Other awards here, we see Conn Smythe, of course, winning the Catton. Shout out to Blomqvist winning the Vezina in Boston. Kavanagh won the Jennings, and we also have Tiny Stolarz Jr. winning the Ted Lindsay, and the Rocket Richard also winning Draisaitl. So at 40 years of age, winning the Rocket and the Art Ross, I would think the oldest player in NHL history to do so without quickly looking at it. I would say very likely the case. And after that season, we thought that Draisaitl might want to go out on top last year, but no, he truly goes out on top this season. Another Stanley Cup, another 60-goal, 100-point season, another Art Ross, another Maurice Richard, and he retires at 40 years of age, having played in 1,706 games, scoring 915 goals, 1,054 assists, for a grand total of 1,969 points, one season away from hitting 2,000, but I think he's happy after back-to-back cups. He's had a fantastic career. Let's break down the numbers quickly. He was still an 86 overall. Leon Draisaitl, there was no money for him in Edmonton with McDavid and Hyman. He was going to go to free agency. We traded for his rights. We picked him up, and since then, he played 11 seasons with us here in Pittsburgh, being the captain of this team for many of them, winning 5 Stanley Cups with the Penguins, and I believe he was captain for 4 of those Stanley Cup victories. His totals with us just in Pittsburgh through 902 games played, Draisaitl scored 527 goals, 524 assists for a grand total of 1,051 points as a Penguin. A ton of awards that we'll recap at the end, too many to name right now. Captain Leon, what can be said? What can be said about the story that you have written here in Pittsburgh? On the Mount Rushmore of the Pittsburgh Penguins, you would have to think, if it's Crosby, Malkin, Lemieux, and Draisaitl, you have to think that he makes the Mount Rushmore. So many other numbers that we'd love to look at, but we don't know just the specific Penguins numbers. Playoff stats, you could see probably, minus a few runs with the Oilers, with, a few that went deep enough, but he scored 365 points in his career through 291 postseason games. On all these deep runs to 8 consecutive Stanley Cup finals, he's going to put up a lot of points. Leon, my friend, thank you for everything and all that you've done for the Penguins organization. We wish you all the very best on your road to the Hockey Hall of Fame, the Data 782 Hall of Fame, and really nothing more can be said than thank you. Also, shout out to Mackenzie Blackwood, who ended up retiring as well. He had himself a career in this franchise mode, winning 325 games in his career. Hats off, Mackenzie. Enjoy retirement. Thank you as well for everything. Year number 14, the first year of the post-Draisaitl era, and we're rolling with Catton, Forsstrom, and Wakabayashi as our top line. I think this line can pick up exactly where Draisaitl left off. Forsstrom as an 88 overall, getting to be our first line centerman. I think he's going to run with this opportunity. A +3 with Waka up there. I like it very much. The second line will be Rensfeldt, Jaeger, and this guy who I signed in free agency, Darren Skewin, 6'4" power forward with 5-star shooting. I had signed him thinking that he would be a third liner, but you know what? I think I like him better as a shooter with these two playmakers on that second line, and then Lashoff can continue to be the playmaker on the third line with Smirnov, and now an 83 overall Noel Nord. Look at this guy. The fourth line will be Palapuz once again with Odell, and this guy Rintoul, Brock Rintoul, 6'4" power forward, former pick of the Blues, will be fourth line right wing. The defense will be the exact same as last season. I would be tempted to bring Stolarz up to the top pair, but he just won the Hart Trophy on the second pair, so we'll keep doing what we've been doing with him. Sawchuk also back, as McGillney wanted like $7 million as an 80 overall, so bye-bye. So that's the defense. Goaltending, Kavanagh's now up to an 88 overall. He's backed up by backup extraordinaire Tyler Baker, and we're ready to roll. Year one of the post-Draisaitl era, but Draisaitl being gone also means that we need a new captain. So I think, in my opinion, The best course of action would be to give Berkeley Catton an alternate captaincy moving forward. Braden Yeager will maintain his alternate captaincy, but the captain moving forward, I can hear the fans calling for it through their computer, through their phone screens. Jace Pac-Man Wakabayashi, the next captain of the Pittsburgh Penguins. A true leader out there, a 5'9" forward who's throwing 200 hits a season, taking the puck away, putting the puck in the net. Jace, buddy, congratulations, well earned. Let's go out there and get another cup. No Leon, no problem, as the Pittsburgh Penguins win 61 games here in year number 14, a new franchise record, another President's Trophy. 61, 17, and 4 was the record with 126 points. Crazy goal differential, almost 2 more goals for than against per game. Power play at 33%, oh my goodness. Easily the best power play that we've had so far in this series. An opponent kill of 86.7%, second best in the league. Another great year for the special teams. That's what we thought. Look at these point totals. Tiny Stolarz Jr. puts up 105 points. Forsstrom, first line centerman, scores 62 goals and 100 points, truly taking the mantle from Leon Draisaitl. Waka has a new career high with 96 points. His first year as captain is a great one. Catton scores 85, Rensfeld 79, Yeager 79, Skewin in his first season putting up 68 points, Lashoff 61, shout out to him, Draisaitl 55, Smirnov 41, Noel Nord 39, down the list we go here, Fenton 29 as well. Looking at the goaltending in this season, Kavanagh goes 52, 16, and 3. I believe that's a new single season record for most wins by a goalie. We'll see at the end of the episode when we look at the record book. 4 shutouts, a .910 save percentage, and 2.52 goals against average. But once again, Baker, backup extraordinaire, 9-1-1 with 2 shutouts, a .930 save percentage, and 1.84 goals against average. Talk about reliability. So even without Draisaitl, we have an incredible season here in year number 14. In our second to last year, the Stanley Cup finals have just become an expectation at this point, but you can never take anything for granted headed into the postseason. Come on, were you even worried? Were you even worried? In the postseason, the Penguins go all the way again. A 9th consecutive Stanley Cup Finals appearance, and for the first time in franchise history, a 3rd consecutive Stanley Cup. The Penguins have won back-to-back cups multiple times throughout their franchise's history, but for the first time ever, we capture 3 consecutive championships. The Conn Smythe this year going to Rensfeld. Look at that, Christian Rensfeld. He was like a 3rd or a 4th round pick in one of our drafts when we were still actively drafting. It was during our first 6 years. We drafted him probably, I think it was year 4 or year 5. We said we loved his potential, and here he is as a top 6 forward, and he wins a Conn Smythe. Well done. Now here is a moment that we have been waiting for at home in those home colors. Jace Pac-Man Wakabayashi is called over. Big Gary looking as young as ever to hoist the Stanley Cup as captain of the Penguins. Wakabayashi raises the cup in Pittsburgh at PPG Paints Arena. The Pac-Man. Oh my goodness, what a story. One of the greatest storylines in channel history. Jace Wakabayashi. I'll just give it to Tiny. No, let's give it to Berkeley. Give it to Berkeley. Jace Wakabayashi, one of the greatest storylines in channel history. There's Catton with the A on his jersey. But Wakabayashi, drafted at a 48 overall in the 3rd round, within 2 years an 86 overall in the NHL. Matthias Forsstrom as well, a pickup who becomes our first-line centerman, scoring 50, 60 goals a year. Such crazy storylines. I wish I had an explanation for all this. I've never seen this type of unparalleled success. 9 consecutive Stanley Cup finals headed into our final year. Gather around, everybody. Captain Jace with the cup. Gino, Sid, everybody's in there. Snap that picture. Put those 3 fingers up. It'll last a lifetime. Your 2036-37 Stanley Cup champions etched in history. So in the postseason, we were never pushed too hard. We took down the Rangers in 6, swept through the Flyers, beat the Red Wings in 6, and then defeated the Vegas Golden Knights for the 2nd time in franchise history as we beat them in 5 games to capture a 3rd consecutive cup. Rensfeldt beat out Stolarz Jr. for the Conn Smythe, pretty much the only piece of hardware that Tiny did not win. Rensfeldt 24 points in 21 games, Stolarz doing the same. Forsstrom 16 goals and 21 points, 4 game winners. The captain 21 and 21, same for Berkeley. Jaeger just quietly so consistent in that second line center role. Skewin 16, Draisaitl, Lashoff, Rintoul on the fourth line. Nord gets another cup. Fenton, Jiricek, quietly David Jiricek, a top 4 mainstay of the last few years as well. Kavanov went 16-5-0 with 1 shutout. Not the greatest numbers, 893 save percentage and 3.02 goals against average. But Tyler Baker, in relief, 45 saves on 48 shots. For our last season, I might just say, hey, we have nothing to lose. Let's throw him in the crease. So for the awards, a 3rd consecutive Stanley Cup, another President's Trophy. For the individual awards, Avery and Tiny Stolarz Jr. tied with 105 points, but Avery wins the Art Ross as he had more goals. But no matter, as Tiny wins back-to-back Hart trophies, as well as back-to-back James Norris trophies, 4 in the last 5 years. His 3rd is a Penguin. Continuing on, we see Rensfeldt winning the Conn Smythe, Kavanov winning the Vezina, back-to-back Jennings for Kavanov as well. Also, did I miss that Spencer Knight and Mackenzie Blackwood were back together in 2034-35 to win another Jennings? Did I miss that? That's a crazy coincidence. And of course, to end it all off, Ted Lindsay to Tiny Stolarz Jr. once again. No Rocket Richard, though. So another crazy year for hardware. We're headed into our 15th and final year of the simulation. I'm not sure many changes will happen over the offseason, but we'll see what kind of team is ready for us in 2037-38. In the offseason, we have the money to re-sign Kavanov, but it would mean guys like Rensfeldt, Forsstrom not having money longer term. So I think it fits perfectly that we're going to let Kavanov walk. As great as he's been, as much as we love him, we're going to let him walk, save money for the imaginary GM who would be coming in to have to re-sign Forsstrom and Rensfeldt and everything in the next year or two. And we will roll with Baker as our starter in 2037-38. Year number 15, ladies and gentlemen, our final season with the Penguins. Let's rock and roll. Catton, Forsstrom, and Wakabayashi as the top line. 88, 89, and 90 overall, respectively, from the big three. On the second line, Skewin, Jaeger, and Rensfeldt. No chemistry, but both 86 overalls for Jaeger and Rensfeldt. Very good to see there. Lashoff, Smirnov, and Noel Nord. He's going to keep his spot on that third line. Keep it up with the +1. Fourth line, Palapuz and Dell will be on the wings, and our new fourth line center will be Gustavo Michelli, first round pick in 2035, who's now a 78 overall. Very nice. Defense is going to stay the same as it's always been. Stolarz Jr., I don't know what it's going to take for him to grow, but he can stay as a 72 overall for all I care, as long as he keeps putting up Hart Trophy numbers. We'll also have Vernarski now, Marcos Vernarski, former 5th round pick in 2031 on the third pair with Sharp. Goaltending, of course, as we said, Tyler Baker. He'll be backed up by Dallas Rome, 4th round pick in 2029. But Tyler Baker, 5th round pick in 2026. He's been here for a while. He's been in the NHL for a while as well. 76, 22, and 6 in his career so far with 9 shutouts, 909 save percentage, 2.43 goals against. Let's see if he can actually run with the ball once he's been given it as a full-time starter. No matter what, I think that this series is already beyond a success. So year number 15, let's see what 2037-38 has for us. In year number 15, we stay as strong as ever, going 59, 16, and 7 to win another President's Trophy with 125 points, sitting atop the NHL. Power play of 23.4%, not leading the league for once, but tied for 3rd, still up there, and a penalty kill of 84.3, which is among the top 10. Forsstrom and Wakabayashi led the team with 96 points apiece. Forsstrom doing so with 53 goals. My goodness, 96 and 96. Catton, 85, consistently above a point per game. Tiny with 84, a bit of a step back, but we'll still take that. Jaeger, 71, such a quiet, consistent 70-point guy. Rensfeldt, 68, Skewin, 61, Lashoff, 54, Smirnov, big year, 42 points. Nord, Draisaitl, bit of a step back, and down the list we go there for the rest of the squad. Goaltending, Baker, let's see it. Okay. 45, 14, and 4, crazy record with 3 shutouts. Save percentage below 900 at 896, but 2.83 goals against. Rome, it seems like the backup just has the better go of things. Rome went 14-2-3 with 1 shutout, 919 save percentage, and 2.29 goals against average. How about that? So we are headed into our 15th consecutive and final postseason berth. Can we make it a 10th consecutive Stanley Cup Finals appearance? We'll find out. 2038, the stage is yours, gentlemen. And could there be a more fitting end as, yes, we make a 10th consecutive Stanley Cup final appearance, and we are here in Game 7 against the Anaheim Ducks, Sean Avery and the Ducks. Sean Avery, possibly the best player in the NHL, facing off against the best team in the NHL. Let's see who comes out on top. And unfortunately, in game number 7, the Ducks do win 4-2, claiming another Stanley Cup. We have lost, the last 2 Stanley Cup finals that we have lost have both been in Game 7 against Anaheim, as they finally defeat us and stop our 3-peat from becoming a 4-peat and defeat us on home ice. So the Ducks truly were the only team that could take us down, as we swept through the Canadiens, swept through the Rangers, took down the Maple Leafs in 5, but then fell in 7 to Anaheim. Again, I am 100% certain that it is all about the slow sim versus the calendar sim. We've calendar simmed to 10 consecutive Stanley Cup finals, and thankfully, when we go into the slow sim, we've been able to win a lot of those, but we lost a lot of those as well, and sometimes went up 3-1, up 3-2. So the slow sim has not been our friend at all, but the calendar sim seems to love our team. In the postseason, Waka and Catton both scored 21 points in 20 games. Jaeger, point per game, 1 goal, 19 assists. Rensfeld had 12 goals, Lashoff 19. Forsstrom, 18 points, that's good, but definitely a slower goal-scoring pace. Draisaitl 14, Smirnov skewing all the way down. Actually, Tony Stolarz had a bit of a slowing down as well. 11 points, same as Jiricek. All right, and Baker, how did he do? 13-5-0, 908 save percentage, 2.58 goals against average. Yeah, Tyler Baker, buddy, you did well. And speaking of Baker, we'll see if he won any awards here as we check out the awards screen. Ducks winning the Cup, another President's Trophy for us, of course. Individual awards, Sean Avery cleaning up once again. Tiny Stolarz, his 3rd consecutive Norris Trophy and 4th in the last 5 years, another as a Penguin as well. Any other hardware? Yes, Baker wins the Vezina and the Jennings. Look at that. So I wonder, what is it with the simulation? Is it just that any goalie we have will keep winning it? Or is the simulation being favorable to us? I don't know what it is. There could be a whole case study on this. But another Penguins goaltender winning another Vezina-Jennings combo. And that's it for the hardware here in 2038. And our final retirement here in the 2038 offseason is Jamie Drysdale. Drysdale goes out with 936 points in just over 1,400 games. We got him from the Ducks. The Ducks were not a good team. They were looking to move him. He ended up playing 6 seasons in Pittsburgh. Some of his best seasons as well. 2 70-plus point seasons. 2 of the better years of his career. Very well done, Jamie. Thank you for being a huge part of our blue line and helping us, of course, get to those 10 consecutive Stanley Cup finals. In the postseason, most of his postseason numbers being with the Penguins. I think just a few first-round exits with the Ducks, 1 second-round visit. But he was a big piece in the postseason. He got his rings, and he loved his time in Pittsburgh, absolutely. Jamie, buddy, enjoy retirement, and thank you for your service. So here in the 2038 offseason is where we will conclude our series, ladies and gentlemen. 15 years with the Penguins, 6 years as general manager, and then another 9 years after that in the president of hockey ops role. I'd love to know another 5 years, another 10 years to see where some of these players go when it comes to their retirement. Wakabayashi, Forsstrom, we'll look at all those numbers, but I'd love to see their career numbers. If there's any interest on the Discord server, I'd love to continue it, but for this video, I think this is a good stopping point. Another 5 to 10 seasons would be another 5 to 10 plus hours, as it does take a lot of time of simulation, especially with so many postseasons. I didn't think we were going to have 10 consecutive Stanley Cup final appearances, but I think especially with NHL 24 coming out imminently, this is a good place to stop after 15 years. Let's recap the series that was and wrap it all up. So we'll start off with the forwards, and of course, the hero of the series in many ways is the current captain, Jace Pac-Man Wakabayashi. He will end the series being a 90 overall as a 30-year-old, drafted as a 48 overall in 2026 at 96th overall. He became an absolute monster. 99 stick checking, 5-star physical, 5-star sense, all these crazy attributes at 5'9". Through his career so far, he has played in 818 games, ending the series with 248 goals, 509 assists, and 757 points. A plus 180. Not the craziest penalty minutes. He's disciplined enough for a 5-star physical. He's throwing his body around. 170 power play points, averaging just about 18.5 minutes per night. For the last few years, over 20 minutes per night. Let's see, 1,531 hits. What? That's crazy. 481 giveaways to 1,026 takeaways. One of the better, if not one of the best defensive forwards in the NHL. Great regular season numbers. In the postseason, 214 points in 224 postseason games, 72 goals and 142 assists. Ridiculous stuff from the current captain. 5 Stanley Cup rings for him and an immortalization in channel history. Jace Wakabayashi, ladies and gentlemen. Next up, we have Berkeley Catton, who ends the series at 32 years of age. We drafted him 9th overall in 2024. He became a playmaker extraordinaire with 99 passing, consistently in that point per game plus range with 60 plus assists per season. He goes out or ends this series with 246 goals and 805 assists for 1,051 points through 1,066 games. The same amount of points as Draisaitl, actually, 1,051 as a Penguin, but in like 164 more games. Quick math there. Plus 308 for Catton. He shot at 11.9%, 284 power play points, averaging over 19 minutes per night, through 524 hits, and great ratio as well for him, 1,059 takeaways to 577 giveaways. In the postseason, 252 points in 264 games, and 6 Stanley Cup rings for the eventual alternate captain. Berkeley Catton, take a bow, my friend, one of the heroes of this series. Next up, we have a wild one, Matthias Forsstrom, who ends the series as an 88 overall at 31 years of age, 6'4" sniper. We picked him up from the Kings with medium top 6 potential. It may have been cheating heel to throw the suggestion out there. We said, you know what? We like how he looks. Let's go ahead and pick him up. That shooting category will likely be beneficial for us. I forget what the deal even was in the end, but Forsstrom comes here, spends some time in the AHL, moves into the NHL. We see his potential, and oh my goodness, as a first liner, 50 plus, 62 goals, 100-point guy. He will end the series with 424 goals and 683 points in 738 games. Double that over the course of a career. He could easily be, I think, retired around a 700-800 goal player. Crazy, crazy numbers. What a sniper. Shooting at 16% in his career. 173 power play points. Averaging low numbers in his career. Last few years, much more ice time, but 1741 in his career. 910 hits as well. He definitely threw that 6'4" frame around. And his takeaway to giveaway ratio was quite respectable as well. Forsstrom in the postseason, 182 points, 107 goals in 200 postseason games. 5 Stanley Cup rings, and definitely cementing himself as the future first-line center of this team were we to continue. Forsstrom, another player called out for an encore. Take a bow. Next up, we have Brayden Yager, who the real-life Penguins drafted after they saw GM data do it. We drafted him 20th overall in 2023. He goes out as an 85 overall at 33 years of age. Through his career so far with the Penguins, he was a third-line center, became a top 6 player for us. His last few years have been his best. Actually, you know what? He's been consistently 60, 70 points per year for a long time now. Pretty much his entire career almost. 698 points in 897 games. Pretty much 700 points in 900 games so far in his career. 146 power play points. Low average ice time, only around 17 minutes per night in his career. Solid on the faceoff dot. 504 440 hits. Not as good of a takeaway to giveaway ratio, but in recent years, getting better and better. Braden Yeager, wow. If the real-life Penguins could get a player like this, they would be very happy. He wasn't quite the heir to Sidney Crosby, but he was a top 6 mainstay and a staple in our lineup. Just a few other forwards to run through now. Christian Rensfeldt, we drafted him in the 4th round of 2026. He ended up being exactly what we hoped he would be. 85 overall. He will end the series at 30 years of age. 533 points in 656 games. Very impressive. In the postseason, 146 points in 180 games. Rensfeldt, what a great surprise and what a story. Well done. There's also Jay Lashoff, who we drafted in the 2nd round of 2026. We had higher expectations for him. A bit more of a late bloomer, but he found his way. He'll end the series with 412 points in 656 games. Great playmaker. And in the postseason, 105 points in 180 games. Smirnov, such a solid and reliable third-line defensive forward for us. We drafted him in the 3rd round of 2027. He ends the series at 30 years of age, had great defensive attributes, 289 points in 656 games, a plus 132, very reliable. In the postseason, 85 points in 180 games. Dimitri Buddy, well done, making Estonia proud. Another guy who became pretty consistent was Tristan Odell, 3rd round pick in 2029. He was a 4th liner for a long time, 118 points in 410 games. In the postseason, 34 in 113. Thank you, Tristan. And the final forward that I want to look at is Noel Nord. Noel Nord was a 2nd round pick of the Predators in 2023. We picked him up, I believe, in free agency. I'm 99.9% sure. He was a 4th liner. He was a 13th forward. He was bumped down to the AHL, but we saw the potential that he had. We kept him around, and he ends with almost 300 points, 293 in 814 games as a Penguin, shooting at 14.5%, 147 goals. He was up and down the lineup for years, inconsistent ice time, but he found his way, and I'm very proud of him. I'm sure he would have stayed with us until retirement. In the postseason, 63 points in 185 games. Noel Buddy, congrats. Now going over to the defense, starting off with David Jiricek, who was very quietly such a consistent guy for us. We got him from the Blue Jackets when we had to trade out. I believe I had mentioned it was part of the Brady Tkachuk and the Joel Eriksson Ek stuff, and we had to move players out because of money and just go after someone who was going to be on that right side. Jiricek ended up playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 full seasons with us here in Pittsburgh. 8 seasons, the series ending with him as a 34-year-old, consistently, sometimes 20, sometimes 40, but a great plus-minus guy, very solid, and always could be counted on for the positive plus-minus at the very least. In the postseason as well, most of his numbers coming with us, I think. Yeah, almost entirely, minus a few first rounds with Columbus. 87 points in 220 games. In the regular season, forgot to mention, 372 points and a plus 361 through just over 1,200 games. David, thank you, buddy. Next up is Landon Fenton. Fenton was drafted in the same draft as Wakabayashi, 6th round pick in 2026, who was a 50 overall. Within 2 years, he was an 80. He ended up growing as high as an 85 overall. We end the series with him at 30 years of age. He never quite did consistently what he did in 2034-35 of 47 points. Maybe if he got the ice time for it, as many years he was playing second pair. But you know what? I think this was kind of who he was. More of an outlier there, but still. 289 points in 820 games. The 6'5" Norwegian had a great shot, and he was and would continue to be a top 2, top 4 mainstay for us. In the postseason, 72 points in 213 games. Let me see the hits on him as well. Fenton threw 715 hits, not the huge, not too many hits, but 934 blocked shots. For a defense, don't gotta look at the giveaways and takeaways. It's always gonna be a bad ratio. Landon, what a story from him as well. What a story. Corey Sharp, quietly another consistent guy for us. He was a 6th round pick in 2027. Always go after those low elites and low top 4s in the low rounds, ladies and gentlemen. Corey Sharp ended up playing in 492 games with us, scoring 93 points and being a plus 109. We end the series with him at 28 years of age, averaging about 14, 18 per night. 552 hits, 437 blocked shots, Corey, well, he would have moved into the top four, I believe, with Fenton moving up to the top pair. Now with Draisaitl gone, so Sharp, he would have continued to be a big piece for us. The last defenseman that we got to look at is Tiny Stolarz Jr. We'll look at all the created players in a moment, but let's just look at Tiny first since he was on this team here in Pittsburgh. The Predators were a horrible team. They drafted him second overall in 2025. With the Predators, he had only been in the first round twice. Yeah, 2 first-round exits with the Predators, nothing else. He comes to Pittsburgh, wins his Harts, his Norrises, his Ted Lindsays, and everything. 1,058 points in his 1,066 game career so far. With the Penguins, 74 to 105 points per season in his 5 years here in Pittsburgh. One of the best of the created players, and goes to show how wonky stats can be. 70 defensive awareness, 2-star defense, no problem. Win all those Norrises, all those 99s. I understand that, yes, is it cheese that we went out and got him as a created player? I guess you could argue that, but whether it be him or some other generated 96 overall offensive defenseman from Italy who has some Swedish name, it would have been someone wonky anyways, so it may as well be someone that we wanted to see as a fan favorite. So Tiny Man, what a career from you. Thank you for your time here in Pittsburgh. It was a pleasure getting you in the squad. 123 points in 125 postseason games, the majority with Pittsburgh, and even though he never got beyond an 82 overall, he played like a 99. We'll end it off with Tyler Baker. There's a lot of goaltenders that we went through over the years, but we ended with Tyler Baker. He would have continued to be our starter for the next few years, I believe. He was 121, 36, and 10 through 181 games as a Penguin. 12 shutouts, 904 save percentage, and 2.58 goals against average. In the postseason, smaller sample size, but 13-5-0, similar peripherals. He was a 5th-round pick in 2026, and in the EA world of the carousel of goaltenders, he was solid enough. Thank you, Tyler. A special shout out to our coaching staff as well. Grossman, we already went over him, but Sidney Crosby. Sid the Kid. He continues to stay in the Penguins organization. We end the series with him at 51 years of age as the coach of this organization. 2 cups, 3 President's Trophies, a winning percentage, or a points percentage, of 75.8, 179, 52, and 15 was his record as a head coach. Gino Malkin as his associate, also A+ rated, and Phil the Thrill Kessel at 51 years of age. So glad to have gotten them some more cups on our coaching staff. Checking out the record book now for the Penguins. Obviously, most of the records held by Crosby, Malkin, Fleury, Lemieux, but we can see the current leaders and how close they were getting. But if Draisaitl didn't beat Crosby, then I don't think anyone really will. Those are the career Penguins numbers. Single season numbers, most wins in a season, Kavanagh with 46, but didn't he get more than that? That's why the record book sometimes is a bit odd, but he does hold that record, even if that number's not right. Rookie records, Kavanagh also most wins by a rookie goalie with 44, if that number's correct. And single game records, none of those broken. If we go and look at NHL records now, also I'm not sure if these numbers are 100% reliable. Like, Shesterkin did not play 1,600 games, but if we take the simulation and the real world into account, Draisaitl sits with the second most goals in NHL history at 915, second most points as well at 1,969. Crazy Leon Draisaitl, wow. And then 50 goal seasons, Leon Draisaitl with 8, one behind Bossy, Ovi, Gretzky, and Matthews. And for 100 point seasons, tied for Marcel Dion for the 3rd most all-time at 8. Also, it looks like Kavanagh tied the NHL record for most rookie wins by a goalie, tying him with Terry Sawchuk with 44. And Jorgensen with 42 is in 4th all-time, or 3rd technically. So how about that? So finally, let's just get a recap on the created players as well. The winners of the Data 782 Fantasy Hockey League got to create players. It's not too late to join if you haven't already. Make sure to join the Discord server in the description and get in the Fantasy Hockey League for this upcoming season. But Milan Mahalik Jr., which was Mr. Brian Michalak's created player, he ended up scoring 943 points in 984 games, split between Winnipeg and Montreal. Not much postseason success, but a great career and a 90 overall at 30 years of age. I'm Sean Avery. Avery's created player, Sean Avery, goes out as an 88 overall at 30 years of age. You know, the overalls, I'm not sure why they don't really move, but Sean Avery, one of the best, if not the best player in the NHL the last few years, currently sitting at 1,261 points in 1,063 games, 1,789 penalty minutes to boot, shooting at 17.7%. I just want to see some other stuff here. 1,677 hits. You can't see the fights, but he was having like 20 fights per season. I think that Sean Avery was the best of the created players, and he was actually the worst in terms of overall and potential, but he grew into it. So there you have it. A couple of Stanley Cups for Sean Avery as well. Unfortunately, they came in seasons where the Ducks defeated us, but 116 points in 122 postseason games and 2 Stanley Cup rings. Pat's created player was Charlie Ray Jamson. Funny enough, he ended up going to Nashville, but he never got to play with Tiny Stolarz Jr. They were teammates in the WHL. He was the first overall pick in 2025. Never got higher than an 83 overall, but in his career, in the later years especially, he picked it up. 780 points in 1,066 games. 593 penalty minutes from the big 6'9" defenseman, as he also threw 1,907 hits and blocked 1,214 shots. As you can see, Pat also going for the wonkiness on the attributes, and there are the final results. Unfortunately for Jamson, only 71 postseason games through his career so far. He has been on some bad teams, 51 points through 71 games. Hopefully in the last few years of the sim, he would finally get lucky enough to get a cup. And then just one more created player, aside from Tiny Stolarz Jr., created by Red Boy. Miles Edward O'Brien, created by yours truly. I finished top 5. I got a created player as well. Miles O'Brien ends at an 85 overall. He has a record of 383, 288, and 76 through his 775 game career so far. He had 31 shutouts, a 901 save percentage, and 3.07 goals against average. So with the 15 years now all wrapped up, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to the final awards and team stats through our 15 seasons with the Penguins, starting with the awards for our goaltenders. Through our 15 seasons, we won 7 Vezina trophies, 1 for Blackwood, 1 for Blomqvist, 1 for Knight, 2 for Jorgensen, 1 for Kavanagh, and 1 for Baker. We won 10 Jennings trophies as well in 15 years, some shared, some not. Blackwood and Blomqvist shared 3 in 2025, 27, and 28. Spencer Knight on his own in 2030. Knight and Blackwood in 2031. Jorgensen got a couple in 33 and 34. Same for Kavanagh in 36 and 37. And then Baker in 38. So if you break that all down, that's 1 for Baker, 2 for Kavanagh, 2 for Jorgensen, 2 for Knight, 2 for Blackwood, and 3 for Blomqvist. Going now to the player awards. It was pretty packed out here. We won 2 Lady Bings through our 15 seasons. Alex DeBrincat winning those both in 2027 and 2032. We led the league in scoring 3 times. Leon Draisaitl won 2 Art Ross trophies in 2027 and 2030. DeBrincat winning in 2032. Tiny Stolarz did tie the league lead for most points in one season, but Sean Avery edged him out since he had more goals. But we fully led the league and won 3 Art Rosses throughout our 15 seasons. 4 Rocket Richards as well, all going to Leon Draisaitl in 2027, 30, 31, and 36. Through our 5 Stanley Cup championships in 15 years, of course, 5 Conn Smythe trophies, 1 to Draisaitl, 1 to Jaeger, 2 to Berkeley Catton, and 1 to Rensfeldt. 5 Norris trophies, 1 of them going to Josh Morrissey in 2032, but then the next 4 going to Tiny Stolarz Jr. in 2034, 36, 37, and 38. I am positive that he would have continued to win a lot more hardware had we gone a few more years, and maybe we will. Check it out in the Discord server. Ted Lindsay, we won 5 of those, 3 to Draisaitl and 2 to Stolarz Jr. The Hart, it was the same thing, 3 to Draisaitl, 2 to Stolarz Jr., but our 6th Hart Trophy came in the form of Alex DeBrincat, winning one in 2031. So Alex DeBrincat, very well-rounded player, and quietly, a quiet Hart Trophy, a quiet Art Ross, that guy just did it all. The cat. Great awards out here. So when we look at all the team stats now, between general manager and president of hockey ops, through our first 6 seasons as GM of the team, we went 308, 149, and 35. Our average record was 51, 25, and 6. 5 division titles in 6 years, 4 conference titles, 3 President's Trophies, 6 for 6 on playoff appearances, a postseason record of 56 and 39, and 1 Stanley Cup. In the next 9 seasons as president of Hockey Ops, our regular season record was 515 wins, 178 losses, and 45 overtime or shootout losses, giving us an average record of 57, 20, and 5 through those 9 seasons, 9 for 9 on the Metropolitan Division, 9 for 9 on the Eastern Conference, and 8 out of 9 for the President's Trophy, 9 out of 9 on postseason appearances, a postseason record of 138 and 63, and 5 Stanley Cups, giving us a grand total, ladies and gentlemen, of a regular season record of 823, 327, and 80, winning 823 games in 15 years. Our average record comes out to 55, 22, and 5, with an average power play of 23.92% and an average penalty kill of 85.25%. Our franchise record, best season record, was 61, 17, and 4. Out of the 15 seasons, we won 14 division titles, all of them being consecutive from year 2 to 15, only missing out in year number 1. 13 Eastern Conference titles, 9 of them coming consecutively, 11 President's Trophies in 15 years, with 5 of them coming consecutively, 15 for 15 on postseason appearances. GM Data and his team was brought in to right the ship and get this team back to the postseason, and we did it for 15 consecutive years. Our postseason record, 194 and 102 through our 15 postseason berths, and a grand total of 6 Stanley Cups, with 1 three-peat and 1 back-to-back along the way. So, ladies and gentlemen, that just about wraps up our series with the Pittsburgh Penguins, and it wraps up our time on NHL 23. If you want to get a bit more of a comprehensive look at everything that we did in this series, here is the Excel sheet that I was keeping throughout the series. You can see from year 1 to 15, lots of regular season and especially postseason success, all of our power play, penalty kill numbers, all our awards and postseason record along the way. If you want to get a bit of a different look at it, feel free to pause and zoom in. I know I've been saying things like crazy and ridiculous and fantastic throughout the entire wrap up here, but I gotta say, this level of team success by the Penguins was unprecedented. To be a team that is not just packed with 90 overall, X Factor, first overall picks, it's still very good players, but not many top prospect guys, players that we traded for, players that we developed, and to make 10 consecutive Stanley Cup final appearances, unheard of. So I hope that you enjoyed the ride along the way, ladies and gentlemen. It was a blast for me. I had a real great time doing it. But as one series ends, another series begins, and NHL 24 is just around the corner. So far, I've been seeing that a few things seem to be glitched, so I don't think I'll be starting our next franchise mode series like within the next day or two. I'm going to give everyone time to watch this, to enjoy the finale, and to give their suggestions on what team they want to see next. Is it an NHL team, an expansion team, a fantasy draft team? Leave a comment down here on YouTube, or let me know over in the Discord server what team you would like to see for our first series on NHL 24. And if you can, also add in a reason for why you think that team should be chosen. Of all the comments, the 3 teams that are suggested the most will go to a poll. The winner of that poll will be the team that we run with in NHL 24. So if you have a team in mind that you'd really like to see for our next series, be sure to leave a comment, like the comments of others that give the same suggestion, and also keep in mind that I won't be doing any team that we've done in, say, the last 3 NHL games. Speaking of past NHL games, another thing that we'll be doing now that this series has come to an end is nominees for the Data 782 Hall of Fame. From NHL 18 to NHL 23, I think there's something like 70 players if we go through all of our series and think who are the legends, who are the greatest storylines and certified bellows in channel history. And from there, we'd like to create a Hall of Fame. It's been a big thing on the Discord server, and I'd love to get it going over here. Possibly doing something like a class of 4 players being inducted every maybe 3 to 4 months, but to start for the first ever induction will take 8 players, and the 8 that receive the most votes out of those, like 65 or 70, will be the first induction class. So more info on that will be coming soon, so make sure that you are subscribed and in the Discord server to listen in on all of that. So that about does it for me, ladies and gentlemen. I believe the 2-part mandate in Pittsburgh has been accomplished. If you want to see what the future years may have looked like, be sure to join the Discord server, because I could sim a few more. I wouldn't mind doing that. But as I said at the beginning of the video, leave a like if you enjoyed it, as it's a ton of work, and also subscribe if you haven't already for our upcoming NHL 24 franchise mode content, career simulations, and much, much more. That does it for me for NHL 23. Thank you for joining along for the ride in whatever capacity that you did. I'm looking forward to getting into NHL 24. We'll start with a deep dive of franchise mode and some live streams discovering things before we go to the poll and figure out what team we'll do next. But whenever that time comes, I look forward to seeing you there as we kick off our next adventure in NHL 24.